Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Lunch with Laura. I'm Laura Lee Collet from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm going to give you some tips and techniques today to make your stamping maybe a little more enjoyable, and I hope you like to learn things as much as I do. Before we get started, I told you last week I was going to be working on a work desk I got, and I am painting it from that ugly black office furniture color to a very, very pale, it's kind of a teal bluish, but it's just, I didn't want to try to match the white of my Stampin' Storage and IKEA units, so I just went with something that would give just a tad more color. So anyway, the weather did not cooperate last weekend, and I started stripping my mother's desk and a cherry chair that matched it, and I'm almost finished with it. I still have to put the last coats on of polyurethane. Then, this weekend's supposed to be clear, cool, and perfect painting weather, so hopefully I'll get my desk done, and then maybe I can show you, or I'll put my pictures on my blog. So, today I want to share with you one of the wonderful suites that is in the June, I never say that right, the JJ catalog, January to June catalog. And I'm going to turn you down so that I think that's right. Oh, I didn't show you my shirt I'm wearing. And I think I'm going to be, nope. Okay, looks like it's right. Now, my shirt says, baby, it's cold outside. It's not really cold, it's very pleasant, but I thought it might be my last chance to wear it. So I'm doing that, and I also have on starfish earrings that goes with what we're doing today. I'll have to show you that at the end. The suite I'm talking about is in the mini catalog, January, June 2021, and it's called Sand and Sea. This one really spoke to my heart. I love going to the beach here in Louisiana, South Louisiana, and a lot of, I think, Alabama people too, go down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, or on over to Destin, Florida. The water is absolutely gorgeous, like the Caribbean, and white sand. It's just beautiful. So this suite, here are some examples you can see. The whole suite is $92. And I think I've told you this before. A lot of times I don't buy everything in the suite, but I'll get, of course, the stamp set, the dies, and this one has an embossing folder that comes with it, as well as some great designer paper that I'm going to show you. Here is the paper, and remember that when you get your DSP, as we like to call it, designer series paper, if you'll flip over to the back with the label, it tells you the colors that are being used. And we're using Blushing Bride, Flirty Flamingo, Melon Mambo, Sahara Sand, Seaside Spray, and So Saffron. So let me just give you a quick peek at the paper we have here. Now this one, let's see, I'm using this one today. And on the back is this cute little polka dot. And there's some ombre colors. Then you have the shells, sand, see more shells, but it's a really beautiful, beautifully designed paper. Now, let me show you, okay, let me show you the sample. This is the one we're gonna make today. And these are just some others that I did for you. On this one, I cut it out and embossed it. And I used shimmer paper. I don't know if you can see the little bit of shine on that or not, but it is some specialty paper that we have. It comes 10 sheets to a pack, and it's $10. So I only use this like for the top layer, and that's what we're going to be using today. And I'll show you how in just a second. It is, I was looking for it in the catalog. It's on the page that has the Whisper White cardstock, the Very Vanilla cardstock, and this is listed at the top of that little area. So that's the shimmery white. Now, I'm going to put these aside for a minute and show you the name of the stamp set is Friends Are Like Seashells. And they're cute little sayings. Happy birthday to my beautiful friend. I'm so happy I found you. Friends are like seashells. You collect them along the way. And I'll love you to the beach and back. I thought that one was cute too. But they're really some great stamps and sayings with this stamp set. And to go with it, you have, it's called Seaside Seashells. And it comes with some shells and then this one big piece. That's the one we're going to be using today. So I'm going to set this aside. And that does come at the bundle price, the die and the stamp set, and it's $54. And once again, my host code has disappeared. I'll put it on the YouTube site, and I'll also put it on the the movie if you'll go back and look at it. And here is this awesome folder. The embossing just really pops on this, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned when I was using this. We're also, for the sentiment, I'm going to run back over and show you a little bit about how to use the mini messages. I did a show on this, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where we cut out and talked about tags and how to use this one-piece die. And there's a stamp set that matches it, so you can stamp it, stamp your sentiments, and then cut them out, and you've got sentiments for days. So I'm gonna put that aside and tell you what colors we're using. The base of my card is Seaside Spray, and I am so sad. This is one of the end colors that is going away this year, so I'm putting the thought out there that when they do get around to changing the colors in another 5 years or so, that maybe they'll bring this back as a core color. This is part of that designer series paper. And then what I did was I cut just a quarter sheet of our Whisper White cardstock. And this is the shimmer. Now maybe you can see that a little bit better in there. And you really can't mix them up because when you put them together, the shimmer is more of a cream, where this is the real white. So I'm going to cut these first, and I'm gonna bring my machine over here. And what we're gonna do first is to cut out both of the white and the shimmer white paper. I've already got my little stickers down because I want it to stay there. And this fills up well, it does, the 5.5 by 4.25 inch paper. So I wanted it to be in the middle and to stay put. So I'm going to run that through. And it really cuts well. Almost all of the little doohickeys. I know there's a name for this, but I don't know what it is. There was a thing on Facebook. Did you know what certain things were called? And I'm sure that there has to be something for what the little leftovers have. And see, there's just a few little things that didn't pop out. So I'm taking my die brush. This now comes with the take your pick tool, but I had this one available and I just got it. Okay, so that one's ready to go. Now, this is the Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to set that aside so I don't get mixed up here. Next, I'm going to cut the shimmer white, clear off my board there. And again, let me get this over where you can see it. Again, I'm sticking it down. I want to make sure everything's that could possibly be cut is cut. And run that through. And I mean, it just falls away so greatly. And I'm through with that. Okay, again, I'm going to just take my little die brush and get all that little debris, is what I'll call it, out. Okay. Now, we're not quite through with our cut and emboss machine because we're going to emboss now. Now, I'm going to make sure you can see what I'm doing. You're going to take your shimmer white and you're going to set it right on top. And you've got a couple of little things of tape because you don't want this to wiggle. Now, some of you might wonder, why am I embossing after I cut it? Well, the reason is, if you emboss first and then run it through to cut out your image, it's going to squash the things that you just embossed. And that's what I learned. Okay. And you want to just get it so that everything lines up. Oops. Okay. I think that's gonna do it. Okay, close it, put it in with you're only gonna use one of your clear plates, and put the folded part of the embossing folder towards the inside. Ta-da! Wait till you see this. Look how gorgeous. Now, one thing about this tape, I had done a sample when I was at that crop a month or so ago, and I left the tape on it, and when I went to pull it off, it did take some of my paper. So don't leave this on. Go ahead and take it off. Okay. Now, so let me pull one of those cards because one of them isn't as, I think it was this one, is not quite as raised as this is. It's a little hard to see the difference, but that's the one that got squished, I think, or maybe it was this card. Okay, doesn't matter. Do as I say if you want. Okay, so here we are, and we've got our two pieces. I'm going to call this the shell piece aside, and we're going to work on this flat one first. I have, the colors we're going to use are mint macaroon and our macaron, and that is going to be for all of the kelp or whatever. On these two cards, I used seafoam green, and I just didn't feel like it popped out enough. So that's why I went with a little bit darker shade. Okay, now, the reason I did two, you're going to see right now, it's because I am going to color, let me put my little piece of paper down. I'm going to color all of this kelp, or I don't know what it is, I will call it kelp, and I'm not going to worry about whether I get it on the seashells or not. So I'm just taking a sponge dauber, dipping it in. You need to get those little center pieces also. And just work your way around. There was one of those little debris pieces that didn't come out. And you don't even have to be neat with this. This is going to be your background. Okay. I guess I ought to fess up and tell y'all what a mess I made staining. I was using Minwax for that cherry disc. And Lord, if my foot didn't kick it over on the concrete. I lost half of it. And, of course, we're in a rent house, so that really panicked Rod and me. So I sopped up as much as I could with newspaper, paper towels, old rags that I'd been using. Now, let me stop a second. Okay, see how I've gotten even this little piece that is around the shells? Okay. So, anyway, to continue, I got out good old Dawn dish detergent and my nail brush and got down and scrubbed. And do you know I got it all up? I couldn't believe it. I was so thankful. Okay, we're going to put our mint macaron aside, and then we're going to be using Seaside Spray, Blushing Bride, Sahara Sand, and So Saffron, and I'll do this one first. Now, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to pay attention to the greenery on this piece. I'm only working on the shells. So, and I always kind of knock off a little bit before I get started. And again, it doesn't matter if you get it on the greenery because we're going to be cutting that off in a minute. Okay, so I think that's good for that seashell. The Sahara sand one is going to be for the large one. And I kind of started in the middle and then just kind of went around just in circles. And I didn't do it real hard. Remember, you can always come back and add color, but if you've already got it down, it's hard to do anything to take it away. All right. Next, we have our Blushing Bride, and that's going to be this shell right here. These little sponge daubers are great. Just stick it on the end of your finger and go to it. All right. This comes out a little dark if you're not careful. And if you want it dark, that's awesome. If you don't, just go a little bit lighter. Because you can see I got a little heavy-handed on this one, so I'm doing this one lighter. I might add just a tad more. And then, just to kind of tie the colors together, I'm doing these two little shells with the Seaside spray. Now, do we have blue seashells in nature? I have absolutely no idea, but blue's my favorite color, so these are going to be blue. Okay. Now, I wanted them to pop a little bit more. So what I am going to do next is take my blends. This is Crumb Cake Light. We don't have a Sahara Sand. And I'm taking the small end, which is designated by that little line. And I'm just going to start in the middle and just kind of go with the lines a little bit. See how it's kind of making it, gives it a little more depth. And then I even did around the outside. Oops. There we go. And then I went back in these little creases and maybe one there, and there, and there. Okay, now look, doesn't that give it a little more depth and interest? And let me remind you that when you go to put your tops back on, a good way to put them back on is to set your cap down and put it in like so, or at least be gentle while you're doing it. I found that several of my tips had gotten ruined, and I think it's because we have a tendency just to jam it on. So take care with these, okay? Okay, next up, Petal Pink. We don't have a Blushing Bride blend, so I'll use the next one closest to it. And the color isn't exact, but for what I'm doing with the outlining, it did fine. And so that gets that. Okay, done with that one. Let's do the blue ones next. This one's brand new. I just got it in today, so it's a little stiff getting off. Getting it open. And the little lines here are so tiny that I'm just kind of just putting a dash in. Oh, that's my little baby dog snoring down there. I didn't even have to bribe her with treats today. Okay, and again, I'm just hitting a few little highlights there. Okay, that did it for our blends and our ink. Now, oh wait, I didn't do the yellow one, I'm sorry. I thought I was missing one. Okay, let's go in like so. If you want to come back with a pink and hit some of these areas like here, and just show that it really looks like a seashell, you can do that too. Okay. Now, this is what we're going to do. We've got our background piece. This is as bad as sticky notes. They keep sticking to me. And what I'm going to do is a little fussy cutting. Now, I don't want to hear any of y'all complaining out there. Just get your best little sharp pointed scissors. We sell some really good ones. And you're just going to go in and cut away the foliage. Well, I guess it's not foliage. The kelp, whatever it is. And then you can just go back and trim it up just a bit. Okay, there's one shell. Just so I'm not holding all this, I'm just gonna cut this away for a second. Oops. Okay, now I had forgotten this on my first card and had to go back after it was glued down and snip those away. And I'm gonna do like I told my children at school. We take little bites when you're going around a circle or an area that's hard to cut. And it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, that one looks pretty good. No sharp edges. We have, okay. And see some of those little debris pieces? You don't even have to worry about it on this one because you're cutting that off. Okay. When I was a teacher, I had a group of friends called the Clique, and we would take off and go to Florida after school ended every summer. We did that for like 30 years, and I don't know why. I think everybody got too busy with grandchildren and elders and such. But anyway, one year we left right after the luncheon. I mean, we had our cars packed and we were peeling out. Well, we got down there, and the first day or two, we were so tired that we hardly made it to the beach. And when we did, we slept there. So we started giving ourselves a couple of days to relax before we went on vacation. Okay. So this it takes a little time, but not a whole lot. And I'm just going to go around there. Got that sharp little edges off there. And then the last one is our So Saffron. Now, I think that when you make this card, your recipient is going to be thrilled to death. In fact, I'm going to give this card to a friend of mine that absolutely loves the beach. Okay, now let's sweep all our scraps out of the way and get your dimensionals. here we go. And I am using a few more than I normally do. Popping that one up a little bit. This guy's going to get 2. The little shell's just 1. Where did my other little shell go? There it is. And we'll put about 3 on this one. Now, it's just like putting a puzzle together. You're going to take your shell and go right over where it was. And be sure that you're getting it right on target so that none of that shows through. Isn't that pretty? I was just thrilled with the way this card turned out, and I hope y'all like it as much as I do. I know some people are having spring break, some of the kids now, and summer will be here. It's already April Fool's. I can't believe that. April Fool's Day. How about that? But hopefully we'll be getting to go on vacation too. Okay, see how that one was just a little bit off? I'm going to pull that one back up so that I can just... Okay, this is when you use a lot of dimensionals, that's a lot for me. Okay, it was off right here, so I wanted to move that around so that I'm covering all of the background. Okay, next. And I'm going to start over by the center for this one. Okay, here come our 2 little ones. So see, it didn't matter that you got out of the lines. I could have used just a little bit right there. And let's see, I think this one goes like so. Now, I always forget this when I'm on TV. You want to put your ribbon on. We're going to put this down, then put the ribbon on before we do it to the card base. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. I'll put this down first. Looks like the designs that the water makes in the sand. It's so pretty. Look what I did. I did it again. As I was speaking, let me get another piece of, well, we're just going to fix it this way. Even telling you out loud, I did it. Oh, well. Okay, I'm going to use my liquid glue and this is a silicone pad, and I'm just putting it all over the back of the shells. But when you get to the greenery, you don't want to get it on your paper. Okay, and I'm just hitting just a little bit, not on all of them, but on most of them so that it'll stay down. I can't believe we have Easter this weekend. This year is really flying. Okay, remember I told you that it was going to fill up the whole space? See how You've got some outside of the designer paper, and that's perfectly fine. And I don't know about you, but I like this better than the soft sea foam. I just think it shows up a little bit more. Okay, well, I was supposed to have done the ribbon before I put on the DSP, but that's okay. You can always do it this way, and there's nothing wrong with having your ribbon show on the other side. Okay, I do it upside down so the little legs on my bow will shoot down and not up in the air. I don't know why they do that, but they tend to. And I'm going to clip that. And that. Up. One little piece. Now, our card's done, and now we need our sentiment. Now, let me get some of this out of the way so that I can show you what we're going to do. I'm going to use the Stamparatus. And the mini messages, like I said, I forgot to get the stamp set. But anyway, they're all these all-occasion sentiments here. And I cut those out, and then I even cut some blanks out. And this is what you do if you're going to do a blank. And I even put a little piece of paper because I didn't want a whole sheet of sentiments that I might not use out of my beautiful Seaside spray. So what I did was I had a piece that I put here and just cut that one sentiment out. Now, to have this down where you want it, I'm going to take a glue dot, and this is where it's going to go. Okay, now see how I had to turn it around because see how it doesn't quite fit? It isn't exact. So it fits like that. And what I did was I put a glue dot on it just to hold it in place in case I have to come back and re-stamp because I didn't stamp dark enough. And I use a little stamping square, what do you call these? Anyway, these little stamping pads that we have that are white, and you put your color on it. Okay, so I'm going to stamp it up good. And this says, for you. I'll do it one more time just to make sure. And this is called tone on tone when you do the... There, that came out better the second time. When you do your ink and the same color cardstock, that's tone on tone. So then I'm going to gently remove this. Now this was the template that I had you make when we did the first one. I used my thick cardstock in both vanilla and in Whisper White so that I would have my the option of using those. Here were some that I did, and that's a blank one. And then they're in Whisper White and in Very Vanilla, and I think there's some pink thrown in there. Okay, we're through with this. And back to our card. I'm going to put a dimensional on there so that it'll pop up just a little bit. Before I do that, I'm going to take my Seaside spray and I'm going to go around the, nope, that's the green. Let's see. Here it is. I put labels on them, but I didn't have labels for those other two. So, all right, I want to make sure this stands out just a little bit, and since I don't have another layer I'm putting on it, I'm just taking my little sponge dauber and inking the edge. Okay, close that up. And I'm going to put this right here. And there you have your beautiful shell card. Isn't that pretty? I just think the set is so awesome. I love it. Now, I think that's all I have for you today. Okay, there I am. Hey. And, okay, there we are. I want you to see my little starfish earrings. If you notice, they're not matching. I got a pair, lost one immediately, got a second pair, lost another one. So I said, phooey on that. I'm just going to wear them because nobody really looks at you both sides at the same time, so I can get away with it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Lunch with Laura. Come back next week, and I'll show you some other tips and tricks. My website is Stampin' at the Bird Nest. The host code will be on there, and I'll put it on the YouTube version of this as well as the directions, and then it'll be on here too. So thanks again for joining me. Take care. Have a wonderful Easter. I hope the Easter Bunny's good to you. And if you go to church, I hope that you go to church and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Love y'all, and I'll see you next week. Bye.